Well, thanks, Steve. You know, I've gotten myself involved from time to time over the years in the boats as well as the broadcasting. And in 1981, I had this bee under my bonnet, and I decided I would like to introduce a lady driver to the sport. Well, first I had to find the right lady, and I found her. She was 21 years old, 120 pounds, gorgeous, and the world's woman sit-up champion. She was the wife of Captain America Jones, the stuntman. Her name was Brenda Jones. And so anyway, then I bought a used hydroplane from the Squire shops. We modified it to make it very, very safe and forgiving, and we went racing. I think we have a little shot here somewhere of Evelyn Manchester Bardall, who was in the pits with us that day, or Evelyn Bardall Manchester, excuse me, Evelyn, who christened the boat. Here you see Brenda out there on the lake. She did a marvelous job. She surprised everybody. She went to Pasco and qualified as a driver and entered the race there, and then finally came to Lake Washington, where she surprised everyone. My goodness, our hair is a little different in those days, isn't it? Anyway, that's Brenda standing in front of the boat. In Seattle, she actually won the second year. Oh, there's Evelyn Manchester christening the boat. In Seattle, she, the first year, gave Steve Reynolds a heck of a battle in his Captran Resorts. You'll see that shot coming up in a moment. This is a picture of her at Pasco in the race over there. In the second year, she really came into her own. In the second year, she won a heat here at Seafair and went into the final that day. And later on went to San Diego and was the winner of the Muncie Cup in San Diego. Here's Brenda battling Steve Reynolds and surprising him at Seafair in 1981. Look at her drive that boat. A little flighty there, but she was very professional, very disciplined. If you ever looked at her results following a heat, her lap times were just identical. That's how disciplined a driver she was.
What has become of Brenda, Pat? Do we know where Brenda is today?
Brenda lives in Kirkland, and I'm going to tell Brenda right now as I look into the KIRO 7 camera, Brenda, you can sleep so well tonight knowing that you are the only lady to not only drive an Unlimited, but to drive an Unlimited competitively, and more than that, the only lady driver to ever win an Unlimited hydroplane race. And the sport is overdue for another lady driver. They bring such excitement to the course, and they bring great driving skills as well. And I hope it isn't another 21 years before we see another Brenda Jones.
Well, we hope not either, Pat. That'd be a great idea. I'd love to see that as well. I'd love to see those curls back on you again. That was a very nice look. And I had some of those too, as a matter of fact, about the same time. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, talk more about the history of Unlimited hydroplane racing. Just sit back and enjoy. Take a cool dip. Have a drink. We've talked about Boeing as so much a part of the Puget Sound region in so many ways, and this is one of their babies. The Boeing-built C-17 Globemaster III. That aircraft ensures rapid global mobility for America, and it is just part of your KeyBank Air Show here at Seafair. The flyby low enough to almost be able to reach out and see the pilots in the cockpit. Lieutenant Colonels Pete Bune and Greg Pike and Major Ben Morley at the controls of this C-17, assigned to McCord Air Force Base outside of Tacoma, and this bad boy looks like it's just walking over the race course here on Lake Washington. Take a look.
I believe they can drive a tank or multiple tanks in that plane and fly them anywhere. I mean, it's huge. It's just hard to understand how something that big can actually fly.
They can land it on a short runway. They can do just about anything with it, and it's built by the Boeing company, and it is quite a sight in the skies over the race course. Now, down on the race course during the course of this day, we've had unlimited lights, we've had the turbine-powered unlimited hydroplanes, and then we've had the vintage boats. And you want to see more of the vintage boats and learn a little bit about history of this great sport of hydroplane racing, then you have to go to the Hydroplane and Race Boat Museum here in Seattle. The sound is unmistakable. A deep rumble. A serenade that beckons an audience from miles away. The familiar roar of the piston engine can take your mind back in time. You don't have to imagine anymore.
This is fabulous.
That history comes alive here at the Hydroplane and Race Boat Museum.
It's just hard to believe that they have such a wonderful, wonderful display of boats.
What began 25 years ago as a hobby in a fan's backyard evolved in a dusty old shop to become a true collection of some of the greatest history of hydroplane racing. David Williams is the executive director.
What we had before was, we loved it, but it was a dirty old shop down in South Park where we did the work of restoring the boats. Here we still have the shop facility in back, but we also have 7,000 square feet up front here where we can show off the boats and show off the trophies and show off the memorabilia.
Now this huge warehouse in Kent is the only place you can find a complete collection of driving suits with names like Muncie, Kropfeld, and Hanauer. Where else would you find a plunger waved by the legendary Russ Schlee during a victory lap? There are trophies, there are flags, and there are boats. Lots and lots of boats.
If you want to know what a boat smells like or feels like or looks like, you can come on down.
Peek inside the Atlas van lines. Feel the smooth grain of slow motion 4. Or hop in and pretend you're going for the gold in one of Bernie Little's vintage Miss Budweisers.
Our idea all along has been to be a hands-on museum. Our original focus as a museum was to take the boats out and run them, and that's still part of what we do. But we couldn't at one point run the boats and at the other point put up big gold stanchions and say you can't get any closer than this.
More than a dozen perfectly restored hydroplanes sit on trailers here, some more than 50 years old, but still ready to take another turn on Lake Washington. For hydroplane racing fans, this is the place to share memories.
I came here to give the museum my hat, which is over 50 years old.
June Harp Walker came all the way from Eastern Washington to donate her collection to the museum.
This is the oldest. That's the Seattle, the first Seafair skipper pin.
What began as a way to keep the sun out of her eyes at Seafair turned into a tale of June's life.
That hat has a lot of memories. I hope it brings joy to the people when they come and see it.
Memories are what most people find when they come here. Just like that old rumble, the Hydroplane and Race Boat Museum will take you back in time. Oh, we like that rumble on Lake Washington, and it will continue to bring fans down to the lake for as long as there's a Seafair and as long as there's a boat race. Now, you know, it's one thing to see those boats out on the water. It's something else to know exactly how they get in the water. We don't talk about that very much. It seems like kind of a mundane subject until we put our Rick Van Sice on it, and nothing is mundane when Rick tackles a subject. Rick, you had a chance to talk to the crane operators today.
You know, I've been watching these races down here since those vintage boats were brand new and just the latest, most cutting technology. Well, the boats have changed, certainly, Steve, but you know what? One thing hasn't, and that's how they get them in and out of the water, that incredible coordinated ballet. And I'm not so sure if it's more stressful in the cockpit of a boat or in the cockpit of a crane. Take a look. We caught up with some of the guys today, and with both unlimited and unlimited lights running today, as you know, the crane operators like Tom Davis will be having to give dozens and dozens of lifts before we're done with racing today.
And they all want to go in at the same time and come out at the same time. The crews all get excited because of the time restraints on to get in the water, get it started, and get out on the race course.
And all that pressure as these crane jockeys carefully maneuver millions of dollars in race boats. But with 25 Seafairs under his crane, Tony keeps it all in perspective.
These boats are relatively inexpensive. The most stuff we pick up, we worked a lot in refineries and stuff in the oil business, and the pieces and parts there are way more expensive than these, you know, so it's just part of the day's work.
all in a day's work. Okay, I think I'd be pretty stressed out doing that job. One incredible perk, though, as you know, is in their office, they have perhaps the best seat in the house. Live below a crane. Back to you in the tower, Steve.
Yeah, it's one of those things we always have to be careful of, too. Well, look at that. They have a KIRO 7 Eyewitness News banner on one of those cranes. We like to see that. You do have to be careful, Chip, when you're down in the pits because they're raising and lowering these boats. You know, just they're always very careful, but you want to be careful when they're swinging them around.
I've been around powerboat racing for 40 years, since I was 10 years old, and I've only seen one boat drop in all the years I've been racing boats.
Hit the water?
It was sad. Actually, the bank gave way. We were in Dayton, Ohio, and the bank gave way. The boat hit the water first, and then the big boom hit the boat as it was laying on the water and just destroyed it. But that's the only time I've ever seen it happen. These guys are real artists, and the other thing that's great to watch is watch the guy guiding the crane, because it's all done with hand maneuvers, and they're very skilled people.
It gives us an opportunity, and I don't know if Mike Fitzsimmons is back up at the start-finish line or not. I know Mike's been making the rounds up there talking to the officials, but as long as I have you here, Chip, we can talk about this as well. And
yeah,
that is, there you're up there. Okay, good. As we see the cranes here, what it does is it gives us an opportunity to just recognize and acknowledge the hundreds of volunteers that it takes to put on an event like this, from the guys at security all the way down to many of these teams are manned with volunteers.
Well, you're wrong, Steve. It's actually thousands, not hundreds. I mean, it's amazing. Being involved in the San Diego race, I had no idea. You know, I've been a driver and really, I have to say, probably selfishly didn't pay attention. But now, as someone who's involved in putting a race on, I can't tell you how hard some of those jobs are and how thankless some of them are. There are some people right now that are standing in the sun a mile from here parking cars, never sees a boat race, never sees the lake, but yet he does it year in and year out. So we're all very indebted to those volunteers.
And Mike, there's a lot of people that specifically work to get these boats out on the water. Some of these crews, these guys in many cases don't get paid. They do it because they love to do it.
The Seafair Boat Club, a variety of other organizations, the fellows that handle the security, the folks who take their vacations so they can go to work, basically, and come to this event and look forward to it year after year after year. These are the unsung heroes of Seafair, and they have been coming sometimes 2 and 3 generations now since the first races in the 1950s, and they continue to come, and it continues to be the highlight of their entire year. It's like Christmas to be down here for this particular event, and they are a wonderful, wonderful statement about Seattle's community spirit.
You know, Mike, and there's somebody else I'd like to take this moment to talk about. There was a great boat builder by the name of Norm Berg. Yeah. I found out yesterday that Norm Berg is battling cancer right now and is very, very sick. But on behalf of KIRO, the boat fraternity, the drivers, the mechanics, everybody is thinking about you, Norm, and we know you're going to get healthy, and we know you're going to be back here with us. So I just wanted to let Norm know that we're all thinking of him.
Yeah, he built that beautiful circus in 1979, and a squire shop that you raised, and a number of limited hydroplanes. He was one of the great minds in the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing and in boat racing altogether.
And he's very much loved in these pits.
Well, there you're seeing some of the officials out there, some of the spectator boats. And if you're having a tough time here, and it's probably 4 or 5 of the unlimited lights directly below us here in the pits are firing up the engines. They're getting set because they've got some final racing to do. The finals of the unlimited lights. We've got a provisional heat for the unlimiteds, as well as the race for the Chevrolet Cup. All still to come right here. Our Chevrolet Cup at Seafair coverage on KIRO 7. It's a party. Yes, it is. It's a floating, bobbing, and weaving party out on Lake Washington. But again, as we've talked about, safety is of the utmost importance. Those boats are well back from the race course. We remember a couple of years ago when a couple of boats got tangled up and literally came within a swim platform of bumping some of the boats that had encroached a little bit too much on the course. And now the officials here do a great job in keeping them well back, but still they have a great seat to see the show, Chip.
You bet. There's no place in the country we race that's like Seattle. I mean, this is just the perfect amphitheater for boat racing. And I think Pat O'Day said it best one time when the boats were leaving the docks, and I heard Pat O'Day say, the rudders are fracturing the sacred waters of Lake Washington. And you remember that, Pat?
I remember that, Chip.
And I tell you, it's just, and they don't get any better than this. This is one of the best attended. I think we've had great racing. We've had a great air show. This is really a memorable Seafair.
You know, Chip, I have a feeling that Seafair has turned an important corner this year. Bringing the heats 1A and 1B into Saturday,
right.
And then with the show today, boy, is this event alive and well.
And also, along with that, and I think you're right, Pat, is we're going to see lights racing live on Sunday. And we haven't seen that in the past. And we might be getting a glimpse of the future. And I think it's for the fan to sit back at home as he watches the lights. I want them to imagine a boat that's a little bit bigger than the lights, makes a little more noise than the lights, but might be a tad smaller than the turbines, but certainly a lot louder. Because I think what we're seeing is an emergence of a boat eventually that's going to be bigger than a light with an automotive engine, but a little smaller than the turbines.
And before we get too far along in talking about boats, I also want to mention that it's not just a boat race, and it's not just an air show. It's a parade. It is neighborhood festivities. It's neighborhood pageants and milk carton derbies. I mean, Seafair goes on for a good portion of this year. Some of it we don't see, but during the summer, there are many, many events in many neighborhoods all around the Seattle metropolitan area and all around King County that just make Seafair what it is. But today we talk boat racing, and today one of our big stories is the fact that one of the great boats in the history of this sport really will be going away, or at least the title sponsor will be going away after this season. Unless something very unexpected happens, this is the final season of the Miss Budweiser. Dave Vilwalk and his crew know that this is probably their last Seattle race, and all of them say it has been very tough.
It looked like just another day at the office last Thursday as the Budweiser crew prepared to leave their boat shop in Tukwila. But in the back of their minds, they all knew this day was a little different. Earlier this year, Anheuser-Busch announced 2004 will be the last year they'll sponsor the boat. That made this trip to the pits, that used to be so routine, seem a little strange.
Well, it is different, but, you know, that's the nature of racing. You know, I've been on places that lost sponsorship before and changed over, and this is just another one of those times.
I hate to see the Miss Budweiser leave. I grew up in Seattle, and the Budweiser was always a boat, and everybody the boat to hate or love, and next year it's not going to be the case.
Like many times in the past, the Budweiser was the first boat to arrive at the pits. In fact, they got there a little earlier than the race officials expected. For the most part, setting up for this race was business as usual. Most of the crew members tried to block it out of their mind that this indeed could be their last race on Lake Washington.
As every race we've gone to has gone by this year, I've always thought, well, this is our last Saturday in Detroit, this is our last Friday in Evansville, and so on. But as far as Seattle goes, I was born and raised here, and I've seen every race that I can remember, you know, and I guess I'm trying not to think about it.
Well, I personally haven't thought about it too much. We're just going about doing our job, and after 31 years, you just kind of keep going and see what the future brings.
These guys, they all live in the Seattle area, so the Seafair race has always been a big part of their lives. They all know the tradition of the Miss Budweiser is about to come to an end. They'd love to go out in their final season with one more win in their hometown.
And that was Bill Rocky, who has been stationed in the Budweiser pits along with the other boats on that side of the Stan Sayers pits here along the shores of Lake Washington. So we'll bid adieu to the Budweiser team, but maybe they'll be back with another sponsorship. We'll see. Right now, it's going to be racing time again with the unlimited lights. Stay tuned. More from the shores of Lake Washington right after this.
Hi, this is Chris Alpine here with the Mike's Hard Lemonade fan cam. As you can see, we're in the pit area today at the Seafair races, and we're checking out the new Miss Mike's Hard Lemonade Unlimited Hydro Light. Hot, fast, yet still light, much like the new Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hot, yet still light. Now, I'm thinking if I drink the light Will I then be light enough to drive the light hydro? I think so. You know what's unusual, though? This bottle of new Mike's Light weighs the same as the hydroplane. Hardly the usual. Make it Mike's.
Hi again, everybody. As we approach the 4 o'clock hour, Steve Rabel, Chip Hanauer here in the pits at Stan Sayers along the shores of Lake Washington. Mike Fitzsimmons, Pat O'Day out at the start-finish line, and a host of reporters on the log boom in the pits and at the shore with the fans, along with Chopper 7 high above with all the boats out here, the spectators enjoying themselves on this beautiful day. And a great day it has been. An interesting day. We knew it was going to be that way when it first started, and it started with a bang, if you will, in Heat 2A. As we take a look back at what has transpired since just after 10 o'clock this morning when we took the air. First, the flip of the M-Corps boat, and that went over, and Nate Brown was done for the day. Broke his toe, we think, but other than that, he was okay. But the boat in no shape whatsoever to fly along these waters anymore for the afternoon. The Budweiser coming through and winning in Heat 2B without much competition. Dave Villwag just letting her out along this course. Meantime, jumping the start on the restart of Heat 2A, and so the winner was the rookie in the Graham trucking boat, much to the cheering of his fans and crew members along the pier. Now the vintage boats went out, the Hawaii Kai, the Budweiser, and of course the blue boat that Chip Hanauer piloted to so many victories, the Atlas Van Lines. A little tougher ride for some of our Unlimited Lights friends, and I mean that thing went down like a stone, happily staying up in the air were the Blue Angels as they flew over yet again in the air show, along with the Red Baron Pizza Squadron, providing thrills for the fans along the shore and out in their boats as well. And then Chip's favorite, the Oracle Challenger, again, as he said, Mr. Tucker, the pilot, he just is, he's not right. Interesting, not right man. That's right. Here's 3A. Lumar winning the 3A. Wonderful race driven by the Lumar team in 3A. J.W. Myers, the winner there. And then Terry Troxel going away, winning in 3B, a fast boat. But he also said maybe Budweiser was sandbagging just a bit in that heat. So here are your total points as we stand through 3 heats. Budweiser, the Elam, all fairly well bunched in there. Lumar, Beacon Boating, or Beacon Plumbing, that is. Seattle Boats, Graham Trucking, the Oh Boy Oberto. And then we come through with Silver Dollar, Toyota Kirkland Skyway, and Miss M-Corps. Now, we do have a provisional, Chip, but we're going to run in just a few minutes, correct?
The points, pal. We talked about the rookies and the veterans. Let's look at how that's shaped up. It looks like the veterans still have the points advantage, but we still have 3 rookies that have done very, very well. Steve Hook, a rookie, has been made to start on the outside, as J. Michael Kelly. But now I believe, and I think we need to find out as quickly as we can, if they're going to be allowed to go to the inside to race for the final. So I think there's still a very good chance that a rookie can win this race and maybe come out with more points than the veterans.
Do you think it's as much a factor of crew chiefs and boat owners saying, look, stay out of the fray, protect the equipment, and let's get to the final and then see what happens?
And it's that, but you also have to remember these rookies are not in the very best equipment. As you come from the limited boats where you're driving the best equipment and you come into the unlimited, you kind of start in the equipment that the veterans don't want. So these guys don't have quite a big a sword as they go into battle as the veterans. So I think they've showed very well. And like Pat said earlier today, and Mike, I sense a changing of the guard here. I believe we have a new formula boat coming here very soon. I think we have some new stars rising. I just sense some great things coming.
Well, interestingly, you're talking about the rookies have done so well today. The provisional heat is coming up. It's almost all veteran drivers. So we'll see how these guys match up to see which one of them gets to trail in the final, the unlimited provisional, when we come back. And we're back to racing with the provisional heat here in the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. Take a look at the storylines, and it's really pretty simple. This is the last chance for all of these boats to try to make it into the final, even though they'll be starting as the trailer. And a must-have, certainly, for the U100. The Fairweather Sports presents Toyota of Kirkland. That's the provisional heat.
The provisional heat of the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair is presented for Seafair by Chevrolet, an American Revolution.
Let's take a look at your lineups right now for the provisional heat. The Oh Boy Alberto Toyota of Kirkland, presented by Fairweather Sports, Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock, and the Skyway Park Bowl and Casino. Let's check the clock and check the course if we can. 3.5 minutes to go before the start. And the course actually looks like it's leveling out just a little bit, believe it or not, this time of day.
It's gusty now. As I look out on the water, and Mike, I think you got a better shot there. I see places on the lake where there's gusts, but I see other places where there's none.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag out there right at the moment, and the wind just came up just in the last little while. Out on the start-finish line, we're looking at about 15 miles an hour steady out of the north, due north again like it was very early this morning, and otherwise the winds are spotty in certain parts of the course, so that will introduce different gusts as far as where our racers are concerned. Let's take a look at our racers.
Let's do that indeed. The Oh Boy Alberto with Steve David has not been one of his better days here, and Mike Hansen, a former driver, his crew chief, what do you think he's going to be saying to him in his ear?
I think Steve David knows what he's got to do. He's got to win here, and even when you win the provisional, you're starting behind the main line in the final, which is no fun, but yeah, you can still win from back there. He just got to go win this heat.
Bill Rocky, it's been a difficult day for the Alberto team.
That's right. I'd say Nate Brown's probably the most disappointed driver today, but right behind him is Steve David. They've had bad starts. They've hit buoys. Nothing's really gone right, so he's got a chance to redeem himself in this constellation.
The U100 boat is the Fairweather Sports, presenting Toyota of Kirkland. Greg Hopp at the controls. Mike?
Pretty much the same picture for Greg Hopp. He's got a must-win situation here. He has had a bad afternoon, and he just simply has got to get in the water and get going. As you can see, he's not even in the water yet.
Hey, Gard, do you think they can find some speed?
I don't know. They're going to have to. They have been struggling just to get the canopy on down here on the Toyota of Kirkland boat. I did talk to the crew chief here, and he said they blew an engine and a gearbox in that last heat they run, and they've been scrambling ever since just to get into the water. We'll find out and see what happens. And I also talked to Doug Brow of Skyway. You know, they're out of Friday Harbor, and there are a lot of people up there at Haley's Bait Shop and Grill. They have 12 small sponsors to get this boat in the water, and they know they also have to win to qualify for the finals. But a lot of people up in Friday Harbor watching today, Steve, and not a great day for them, but they certainly have been trying their best to be competitive.
A couple of favorite sons, Brow and O'Day, here from Friday Harbor. And here's the U25 boat, the Silver Dollar Casino, Miss Rock. Ken Muscatel, yeah, he's nicked a couple of buoys himself. He's had some tough times.
He has, but I've seen better driving out of Ken today than I ever have. So I think Ken would like to make a statement here and win this heat.
Hey, Greg England, Ken Muscatel, usually very talkative. He's been pretty much all business today.
And he keeps referring to the boat. I asked him if he's being more aggressive, and he doesn't point to that. He says the boat is running better, and the boat is the difference today, not necessarily his driving, but both seem to be doing well.
Let us correct something. We are not racing for a trailer position. We are racing for a front line number 6 starting position. We will only run 6. So this is very important.
Oh, you're right. More
very, very important stuff.
And thanks for clearing that up, Mike.
And it doesn't look like either of the Leland boats are going to make it out here for the provisional.
Well, that changes everything, and I apologize for that. But Steve David now could change his day completely by winning this and then going out and winning the race. Here we go, Mike.
And as they come across the arc, it's Steve David on the outside, on the inside, Dr. Ken Muscatel, and they're still a little bit early on the clock. Muscatel actually has a better run at the start line than David does. He's gotten a little bit aggressive. Watch him back down just a little bit now. Muscatel will stand on it here as they come down, and they're across the line. Good start, fair start all the way. So as they come down into the first corner with a little more boat speed, it is the Oh Boy Alberto, but with the lane position, but it doesn't look like it's going to serve to its advantage at this point. It is the Miss Rock.
I think Ken may have hit the entrance pin going into the first. No, I guess it's okay. It looked like he came very close, but Ken has been on the inside all day, and I've never seen that. Steve David in the Alberto, if he can win this heat, I think he's got a boat that can win the final heat if he can win here.
Ken Muscatel's boat is getting airborne, and he is having to back down just a little bit at the 3/4 mark of the back chute. He did not get a good ride up there, and he's lost some ground. Oh Boy Alberto out front now. This is Stephen David. He's from down in the Pompano Beach, Florida area, and he is a veteran, former president of the American Powerboat Association. Been around, this fella, and he knows racing from all types of craft, and he's got himself a handful right now, but Ken Muscatel is not going to let him go.
No, but don't think that this whole day could turn around very quickly now for Oberto. The fact that he can start on the front line, I believe this is one of the best boats out here. We've had some driving problems, or Steve's had some driving problems today, but I believe they're capable of winning the final. So he gets this under his belt. Watch out.
And it appears now that he is establishing a commanding lead. We do not have any of the other boats, as we mentioned, unfortunately, for Mr. Hopp. His boat never even got off the trailer. Ken Muscatel is in second place, trying somehow or other, hoping gremlins will appear in the engine of the old boy Oberto, but it doesn't appear that's going to be the case right at the moment. The Oberto running on that beef jerky is plenty healthy, coming down to end lap number 2.
This is a great thing that they are going to get to start on the front line. It's great for the fans because having a boat like Oberto 5 seconds behind at the start in the final is not a good thing. We want good boats like that right up there on the start. And the other thing is the Oberto family, their local family. Art Oberto has done so much for this event for years and years. We need them up there.
Down the back chute now, oh boy, Oberto. And it is Stephen David in command of this race, and it appears quite clear that Dr. Ken Muscatel will not be able to catch him. Now it's a question of listening to all the little haunting noises, Pat O'Day, that you hear in that race boat, thinking, gosh, did I hear that before? Was that a good sound or a bad one?
And, you know, and I think of Fred Leland in the pits, and of course Steve David wants to make that final, and the Oberto family wants their boat in the final heat of the day. Fred Leland, with all of his crew and his sponsors and everything, I'm so sorry he wasn't able to come out here and give it a try in the provision. Well, there's your third of 4 times around the course. Steve David's nearly home and nearly in the final.
One more lap to go for Stephen David, and the old boy Oberto will be a frontline starter in the final heat. Ken Muscatel across the line in second place, continuing to give chase, but losing some ground each time around. The old boy Oberto now about 4 rooster tails ahead, and Muscatel's inability to catch him must be very frustrating for Ken.
Ken Muscatel is not going to be in the final heat of the day, but I got to tell you, Ken Muscatel has had his finest day of driving out here on the course. His equipment staying underneath him, kept working, and he has added a great deal to the show here today.
And he's talked about, if I just had a slightly better boat ride, I'd have everything that, well, he's getting it very close to dialed in.
Oberto's got a quarter of a lap to go, and he's in the final.
And, you know, one thing now, the problem or the Oberto team is going to face is the other boats now are pretty much getting buttoned up. They've made all the changes they want to make for the final. Because he had to run this provisional, and there is your winner out there, Oberto, but they have no time to do anything. So they have to hope that the engine came through good, that the wing, the fairing, the propeller, because really all they can do is put fuel in it, turn it around, and go and race.
And you can see that Steve's going right back to the pits to give his crew as much time as humanly possible.
And Muscatel's going to go out and enjoy one more circle around the course. No, he's going to head for the pits, too.
You know, I think he can't find the pits. I wonder, Pat, do you think this is the swan song for Ken Muscatel? I've just read some things in the media. It sounds like that maybe he's thinking about winding it up.
I think if the sport is going to move to automotive power and go through some rather severe gyrations in the next 24 months, I don't think he'll decide to climb that mountain.
So here is your unofficial winner. The old boy Oberto, winner of the provisional heat, driven by Steve David. Silver Dollar second, and the other 2 boats did not start. Steve David needed a win. He's got it. He'll be in the final. We'll be back right after this. So here is your provisional winner, the Oberto boat, which is also the Miss Madison when it's racing back east in Madison, Indiana. But for this day, here in this part of the country, it's the old boy Oberto, the winner. And there's a smaller version, actually. It's just about the right size for a young'un. And Steve David at the controls. Bill Rocky, he needed a win today, and Steve David came up with one.
That's right, Steve. And Steve, you go out there, only a 2-horse race.
Yeah, Oberto needed one break of luck this weekend because the driver's messed up. Oberto's running great, and she's looking forward to getting this final and putting Oberto in the winner's circle.
We talked to you earlier about having trouble. You had a tough start. You hit a buoy, but now that's all in the past. You're in, and you got a shot to win this thing.
The boat's like the story of Art Oberto. I mean, starting with next to nothing and building a tremendous company, and this boat didn't have much coming in and out, but now she's ready to go, so I think it's Oberto's turn.
We've been talking about the conditions changing a little bit. Now it's a little smoother out there than it was 4 hours ago.
I want it rough, really rough. This old boat needs the rough water, but whatever we're given, we're blessed to be here, and we're just going to run as strong as we can.
What's it going to take to win this thing?
Be at the first at the finish line with no penalties.
that happens.
If I can do that, it'll be a great day.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve. David. Steve, he's in the final, and who knows?
And who knows? And he makes it sound so easy. Just be at the finish line first with no penalties. Well, you got to like that. A gentleman who's not going to get a chance to run for the finish line this time around, but it sure was fun watching him race today, and that is Dr. Ken Muscatel. Greg England has him.
Steve, it was fun watching this guy today. Ken, you spent a lot of time on that inside lap. Maybe some trouble cutting with the buoys throughout the weekend?
No, I mean, they didn't, you know, I dislodged one buoy, you know, but I had to be on the inside to have a prayer, so they were going to give it to me. I was going to take it. I was a little late in that last start, unfortunately. I thought I had my marks, but I didn't have boat speed for 10 seconds, so I needed more like 11 or 11 and a half or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm encouraged, but you know, the funny thing is, the closer you get to running good, the more frustrating it is to not.
We going to see you back here next year?
Don't know. Maybe.
We hope to. We hope to. Guys, back to you.
He is one good guy, and he also held the reins as commissioner for a short time. He's a fine driver. We like to have Ken Muscatel back. We are coming back right after this. We've still got the Unlimited Lights final. We've got the Big Boats final and more for you right after this. And as the afternoon grinds on along the shores of Lake, actually, it's not a grind, is it? As it soars on, as the afternoon continues, as we keep having fun.
Why do you have to be so negative?
I'm not. I'm just having a great time. We've seen some wonderful boat racing. We have a picture-perfect day. The Lights are getting ready to go out into the water and do a little racing of their own in their finals. John Lynch is going to be joining us, the voice of the Unlimited Lights, in just a few moments. So while we have a minute, let's just kind of look back, Chip, over the kind of day we've had today. And as you talked about, the Lights, they are one part of this equation that we think is going to be around for a while.
We do. What I think is going to happen is you're going to see these boats meet in the middle. The Lights are just a bit too small. Some of the, they get too far out in the water. People can't see them. The Unlimiteds, the problem with the turbines is it has not been attracting new ownership. And new ownership is the foundation of a motorsport. If you don't have new, young, well-financed owners coming in, the sport dwindles. So I think we need a bigger boat, which is what the Unlimiteds bring, but we need an automotive engine that's going to bring new owners that are excited about racing.
A lot of people say, why don't you just, in boat racing, do what they do in automobile racing? Why can't you just be like NASCAR?
Well, that's actually a very good question. NASCAR is like it is because it's owned by one family, the France family, and they do whatever they want that's good for their fan base. And I think that's been the problem in boat racing. No one's, until Gary Garbrecht had it, owned it and did just what was good for the sport. And I think that's the only mistake Gary made, is he didn't create a vision of the future to create a new formula. But I think we're on the way of doing that now, and I think the fans have nothing to worry about. We're going to have better boat racing coming soon.
Now, we should probably mention that there are several different governing bodies. In other words, the Lights seem to be a very well-organized group. They all work for a common goal, and they are, in fact, in a different grouping than the Unlimiteds are.
They are, and we've got John Lynch here, who really knows more about the Lights than maybe anybody. What do you see coming out of the Lights, John? Where are we headed?
Well, number one, you've got the Lights continuing to grow with new teams coming on board, new boats being built, the new series that will start next year, which will be an unlimited size, a 28-footer called the American Challenge Cup Series, with larger engines, wider. One thing that really helped us 2 weeks ago when we changed the race course at Tri-Cities, brought the boats closer to the shoreline. It had a tremendous impact, and that's what we'll try to do at places later like Seattle, so we're not so far out in the lake when we can do that with a safety issue, of course, taken care of.
Well, let me put you on the spot here for a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
What if you can't get the new, bigger boats all built at one time? It takes time to build 8 to 10 of these boats. What about the turbine owners coming and running under your auspices for a period of time to bridge the gap from where the Lights are till you get to the new boat? Do you see the turbine boats and the Lights boats coming together anytime soon, or do you think that just can't happen?
I wouldn't say no. I will say absolutely I don't know. I mean, obviously that's happened twice this year. Will happen another time where the Unlimited Lights organization was hired by Evansville, Tri-Cities, and San Diego to conduct the race. Maybe that's what's going to happen. But really hard to say. We are focused on our series and developing it, and we always grew up watching the Unlimited, so we'll see what happens there. But you know, anything's possible.
All right, John, Chip. Well, you can tell when the Unlimited Lights are ready to roll out of the pit. They make an awful lot of noise. The Lights Championship when we come back.
You're watching the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair, brought to you by your Northwest Chevy dealers. Visit us online or see your Northwest Chevy dealer today. The Unlimited Lights Championship Heat is brought to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Make it Mike's. And is presented for Seafair by Graham Trucking. Let us take a load off.
We hear the roar of the piston-powered lights. It must be time for their final, and it is. And here's your rundown of the boats racing today. The Graham Trucking Red Rocket, that's George Woods Jr. Jerry Hopp in the Mike Hard's Lemonade. The Nuvon Aerospace with Vince Sidaro. No, I take that back. Yes, with Vince Sidaro. I apologize.
Just call him the X-Man.
The X-Man, there you go. The Miss Boat Electric, that's Mike Flaherty. Rick Bridgman in Ted's Red Apple Market. Kerry Bainan in the BCS Racing Enterprises, Harold Mills in the Thunder Valley Racing, and your trailer is Kevin Aylesworth in the Baker Equipment Company. Here is the voice of the Unlimited Lights, John Lynch, along with Chip Hanauer.
Thank you very much, Steve, and it should be a dandy Unlimited Lights final. We have Vince Sidaro in a boat that he has finished second 3 times in a row over the last 3 races. We have Jerry Hopp, who won this race 2 years ago, his first ever big Unlimited or Unlimited Light victory here in the Mike's Hard Lemonade. The leading team this weekend so far has been George Woods Jr. in the Graham Trucking Security Race Products entry, trying to become the first driver to have won in Unlimited Lights as well as win in Unlimiteds. He won here in the Unlimited U8 Tide back in 1992. Then we also have Kevin Aylesworth, the trailer. Harold Mills, the first African-American in Seafair history to race here in the Thunder Valley Racing entry. Rick Bridgman in the Ted's Red Apple Market. That's really a brand new boat. I really don't expect a whole lot out of that team, but look up front. Jerry Hopp is going for the inside. George Woods never goes for lane 1. He likes lanes 3 usually. And plus you have Vince Sidaro, always likes lane 1 or lane 2. Those would be, I'd say, the top 3 to watch out for here, but don't discount our B main winner, Kerry Bainan in the BCS UL6.
Is lane 1 or 2 as critical here with the lights as it is for the Unlimited, do you believe, or can you win from 3 and out?
Well, George Woods has been winning from 3 and out. Okay. So I'd say it all depends on the driver and the boat combination that they have. Most drivers, they want to go for that inside lane position.
Take us to the line.
We have 7 wide will be coming up to the start, and it is going to be Jerry Hopp in lane 1. Looks like Vince Sidaro is going to be in lane 2. They're coming up just a wee bit early. That orange boat out in the middle, that is Michael Flaherty in the Miss Boat Electric Company. As they come down to the line, Jerry Hopp is off the line. Vince Sidaro is up in front. If he is on time, he's in great shape, but Jerry Hopp now moving up on the inside. Coming through boats, it's George Woods in the Graham Trucking Security Race Product. At the start, that is the X-Man on top. Vince Sidaro with Jerry Hopp come up hard on the inside as they challenge each other going into turn number 1.
It was a bit of a ragged start. They were strung out. They weren't all there, but they got awfully close there in that first corner.
Jerry Hopp and Vince Sidaro, as you can see, side by side, supercharged on the right of your screen, non-supercharged on the left side of your screen as they go down the backstretch. It's about a 3 rooster tail length lead. Then it is George Woods heading up the backstretch as well in the Graham Trucking Security Race Products entry. Right there, it's Jerry Hopp. The old salts are going at it. Jerry Hopp in the Mike's Hard Lemonade and George Woods in the Graham Trucking Red Rocket Security Race Products entry at the exit pin of lap number 1. It is Jerry Hopp in the Mike's Hard Lemonade. He'll come down to lead at the end of 1. Side by side is Vince Sidaro. Now George Woods going to take over 2nd place and head on out after Jerry Hopp. Jerry is running the restricted supercharged engine. George Woods is flying the Graham Trucking as he goes down the fresh straightaway, closing the gap inside of a rooster tail.
I don't know. He's got a lot of boat speed on on the outside, but he's got a long way to go, and you got a guy like Jerry Hopp on the inside. Pretty tough to beat on the outside.
Vince Zadaro holding third and staying competitive. Michael Flaherty in fourth. Kevin Aylesworth in fifth. It's Kerry Bainan in sixth. Then it's Harold Mills in seventh and Rick Bridgman in eighth. Down the back stretch, it is Jerry Hopp and Harold and the Graham Trucking George Woods driven boat. They are about four boat lengths apart as they head down the back stretch, heading towards the entrance pin of turn 2. There you see Jerry Hopp midway through the turn, and George Woods half a rooster tail length behind in second place. This race is going to go right down to the finish. Just over a lap to go. Jerry Hopp in lane 1 and in position 1. George Woods coming on hard in second place in the Graham Trucking at the end of 2.
That Graham Trucking boat is going very well, but he's ragged. I mean, he's got that boat completely aired out. I don't know. It's a long ways to go around the outside, but he's got to have a lot of boat speed because he couldn't stay this close if he didn't.
Hopp in lane 1. The Mike's Hard Lemonade holding the buoy line. George Woods still closing the gap. George didn't have a great start, and that's why he's been this far behind. But he is still closing the gap. But this is the final lap. It's 3 laps of this 1 2/3 course for a 5-mile heat finish. And it is Jerry Hopp going for his second victory at Seafair in the last 3 years. He's got a rooster tail length lead over George Woods. Looks like he'll be able to hold it.
It's been this way all year for you guys. These are the 2 boats that SEMA comes down. They've been swapping week in and week out.
And the 2 veteran guys, Jerry Hopp and George Woods. It's going to be Jerry Hopp with the victory in the Graham Trucking Cup at Seafair in the Mike's Hard Lemonade. Jerry Hopp takes the checkered flag. It'll be George Woods in second in the Graham Trucking Security Race Products team. And after 3 straight second place finishes, a solid third place finish for the X-Man, Vince Zadaro, in the UL 929, the Western Cascade Truck and Tank entry. Then it's Michael Flaherty and Miss Boat Electric coming on to take 4th place. At 5th place, Kevin Aylesworth. He was our trailer boat. He will come on to take 5th place in the Baker Equipment Company. And then a bit of a race for 6th place between Kerry Bainan and Harold Mills. And it's going to be Kerry Bainan taking 6th, Harold Mills taking 7th in our 8-boat final. And it's going to be Rick Bridgman in Miss Ted's Red Apple Markets. He is going to take 8th. And that's how we like it in Unlimited Lights. Send out 8, bring back 8.
Let me ask this. This is the first time they've raced on live. They've raced at Seafair, but it's always been on Saturday. This is the first time they've ever raced live on KIRO on race day on Sunday. Does it mean even more to win here on live television?
Oh, absolutely. They have been gearing up for this one for that very reason. And I saw more out of Jerry Hopp in that heat than I have in some other heats. I mean, he had that start wired. He was ready to go. Mike's Hard Lemonade, he knew that he was running a little bit behind George. George didn't get the greatest of starts there, and Jerry Hopp came on with a victory, but they drove hard, and we saw that the conditions here, although it's been windy, the boats are handling it just fine, and it was an exciting final heat.
You know, I have to say, I'm going to be a little critical. They were spread out a lot at that start line. You know, as a boat racer, your job as a driver in the final heat is you have got to have that boat there on time, and they were spread all over, and really, Jerry Hopp was the only guy that was there really on time.
Jerry Hopp and Vince Zadaro, they were side by side at the start. Everybody else was a bit lagging. When you go from, you're used to running 4, 5, or even 6, and then you go to a 7 wide, it's a little different.
You know, let's see, maybe we'll get a chance to take a look at that start again. But again, as a driver, your first job is to get the boat at the start line, at least with everybody else.
Take a look at one difference on the boat. You remember, they were running that new engine cowling with the opening in the back. They went back to the old way for the final heat because they were just guessing maybe that was affecting their performance this weekend, and it certainly paid off.
Okay, if we go back to the start again, we'll see that, you know, here's, you know, they're spread all over. You've got boats, number one, they should be all lined up side by side, but you've got 2 guys coming together here. You've got guys not, you know, on the start line. They should be all together there. So are the owners going to have a little talk with some of their drivers saying, guys, we got to have these things at the line on time?
Well, actually, yes, but a lot of them will be having the conversation with themselves because they're owner drivers. In Jerry Hopp's case, he's an owner driver. George Woods is not. Vince Zadaro is an owner driver. In fact, most of the teams in our group here are owner driver combination.
Look at how loose these boats are, and they seem a little bit livelier than the Unlimited.
We just about lost the Graham Trucking there. That was quite a picture.
We'll get back to the Unlimited Lights in just a minute. We do want to get to our provisional award ceremony right now.
And we've
welcome you back here to the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair Award stage. We're about to award our provisional heat winner. It's presented by Chevrolet, and Jeff Jackson from Chevrolet will make the award presentation.
Hi, I'm Jeff Jackson. On behalf of Chevrolet and the Northwest Chevy dealers, I'd like to congratulate Steve David and the Miss Oboy Oberto team on your victory today in the provisional heat. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chevrolet, on behalf of all of the employees of the Oboy Oberto Company. We're delighted to be here and appreciate your support of this race and look forward to getting an even bigger one in the final. Thank you again. Thanks, Chevrolet. Thank you, Oberto.
Good job, Steve.
And Steve David has to get back to his boat and his team. They are preparing for the final, so they ran over, did the awards, and he literally is jogging now, heading back to the pits. But right now, the celebration begins for Greg Hopp and company as they just raced a wonderful race and beating a very fine driver, and one of our favorites from the old days of the Unlimited Chip, George Woods. Two very deserving guys and two veteran drivers on the circuit.
You know, and again, I have to say this means a lot to them to be able to win on live television. I believe this is the first time you've ever seen a lights final on live television.
In fact, let's go down to the pits and talk to your winner, Greg Hopp, right now.
Jerry Hopp.
Oh, Jerry Hopp, excuse me.
Hey, Jerry, what a win for you, huh? You had a strong weekend, and you finish it off with flying colors.
Oh, man, the Mike's Hard Lemonade came through. The crew came through. We've been watching that red boat punch us off the corner all weekend, and we took all the stop out, threw the chip away, and put a smaller prop on it. I don't know. We probably got dents in the valve covers right now from spinning it that high, but it did it. It got through and won.
Everything working today.
Oh, it was hard waiting all day. I mean, I was ready to go at 9 o'clock this morning.
You had to wait, and the wait was certainly worth it, wasn't it?
Oh, you bet. Well, I'd like to thank KIRO for your coverage. I've got a TV going in my truck over there, and everybody gathers around, watches the coverage. Mike, Pat O'Day, good to see you guys. Man, this is just unbelievable. I won here 2 years ago, and I was beginning to not think I was going to win a race this year, but glad to do it here in Seattle.
And you do it with certainly a fantastic crew.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole crew, everybody just works their tail off. They're all volunteers. Well, all of us got to go back to work Monday.
Including myself.
I go. He's my radio guy. He did half the driving.
One whale of a start. Way to go.
Nice win for you guys.
Yeah, we needed that bad. That was especially we got the Mike's Hard Lemonade people here, and Ed from Ed's Automotive is here, and we got all the Graham Trucking people down there sharing one hospitality tent, and this is awesome.
I can't remember. Who you guys sponsored by?
Mike's Hard Lemonade and Bill Ramp.
Mike's Hard Lemonade, is that what you said?
Raves, back up to you.
I don't think we'll ever forget who they're sponsored by. Jerry Hopp, congratulations. Wonderful race. Great job to your crew. And, John, as we've seen so often in so many of these teams, so many of these guys, volunteers, they just love it. They come out every week.
There's tremendous camaraderie in the Unlimited Lights pit area. All the teams get along well, and they have the attitude of racers. You want to beat them on the water, but you want to make sure they get there. And so teams are helping each other all the time, and this team has helped a lot of teams in there. And one thing, they won with supercharged power, restricted supercharged, and George Wood showed it's just as competitive to be with a non-supercharged entry. The package is working.
Well, let's recap the finals now for the Unlimited Lights as a part of the Chevrolet Cup at Seafair. And as we saw, some terrific deck-to-deck racing. And, oh, man, how did he keep that boat on the water?
He's George Woods.
That's how he kept it on the water, and good for George. We're glad he can walk away from that race and be with us to race another day.
This happens to be Jerry Hopp's 6th Unlimited Lights victory in his career. The first one was here 2 years ago, and that boat has now just won its 21st Unlimited Lights championship in its history.
And I was told by Jerry that engine has like 85 heats on it without any kind of a rebuild.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now they take care of their
reliability.
Here is your unofficial results with Mike's Hard Lemonade and Jerry Hopp at the controls, Graham Trucking, and George Woods, along with Newvaught Aerospace, Miss Boat Electric, Baker Equipment, and the BCS Racing Team. Thunder Valley Racing and Ted's Red Valley Apple. And as you said, take 8 out, bring 8 back. John Lynch, thanks very much. We appreciate it always.
It's been a pleasure, Steve, and really proud that the Unlimited Lights were on KIRO TV Live this year.
They always put on a great show, and we're happy that they were with us. Chip, stand by. We've got some more racing. You can't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the Chevy Cup final.
The Unlimited Lights Championship Heat has been brought to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Make it Mike's.